It's Vancouver's podcast on the Canada's Podcast Network.
Phil Hemmings is a sales manager at Chocolates in Port Coquitlam. His experience stems from starting and running 2 food-related companies, as well as overseeing sales for other natural food companies. Phil will be in charge of spearheading the product launch in the U.S. and to work closely with his team at Chocolates to ensure all areas of the company are ready for launch in late May. Chocolates have been making Canadians no sugar added chocolates for over 20 years. Well, Phil, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time today to be here for all our listeners.
Hey, Robert. Thanks so much for having me.
Great. Okay, I want you to tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you're from. Give us the details on your current business. We know it's chocolate, so it's got to be good.
Chocolate's always good. Yeah, no, I originally came back from Ontario, London, Ontario area. Came out, I was a counselor the first half of my life. Was counseled with young offenders and mental health here in Vancouver, but just felt there was something else that I just wasn't reaching my potential. I'm a very creative guy. So I ended up starting a fruit smoothie business. Had that for about a year or so. I love the creativity. I love I guess my first understanding of business, but I didn't know much about business and I was giving things away. That soon evolved into actually a snack food company. Originally with kettle corn, doing kettle corn events here, and then seeing there was a niche to it, and I thought, well, hey, maybe I can get this onto the grocery shelf, and that's what eventually happened. Being able to package this in a food safe environment, be able to get into at first the small medium stores in the Vancouver area, and then eventually national.
Okay. Now, did you need financing to start your company, and how are you currently making money in your business now?
Yeah, with that venture, it was I was very conservative. I was working full time, and I really wanted to see what sort of appetite was out there for the consumer for this product. So instead of starting my own plant, I called up a bunch of food safe places, food factories in the Vancouver area, and asked them if they're working 7 days a week. Most of them weren't, so I was able to get in at some places working Saturdays and Sundays with my product. That way is giving me a food safe environment to produce food, and I was able to go to market in that way. Once I found that I had a good following, good orders were coming in, I was able to make the jump and get my own place. I guess mortgaging the house, Robert, I guess is where my funding came from initially, and that helped launch that product off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now what is the long-term vision, and what will your company look like in the future? Do you see the company expanding into other areas, and where beyond Vancouver, BC, or even Canada? Okay.
Well, with that particular venture, that was the Real Treats Kettle Corn company. That one went for about 12 years, and then the margins started getting low, and we ended up shutting it down. Just wasn't making sense anymore after that. Bigger companies coming in, able to do things more efficiently. So with that, I had gained a new skill. I was in the food industry, and I understood the marketing, understood the sales side of things. So I was able to get positions as a sales manager, director with national food companies in Canada. That led me to this opportunity that I'm at now, Ross Chocolates, which has, again, as you mentioned, been making no sugar added chocolate for a number of years. But what they've just done in the last few months is gone into a stevia sweetened chocolate that it's got a mixture of erythritol. If you have a stevia, which is stevia by itself, it's a bit bitter. Erythritol is a sugar alcohol. It's natural. Doesn't sound natural, but it is. but it's got a great flavor to it, and it's something that diabetics can have. It's a zero glycemic on the index, gluten-free, GMO-free. So that's going to be the new product that we're launching this month down in the United States.
Okay, good. Now, what are the biggest benefits for you in being an entrepreneur in Vancouver, BC? I want you to give us some of the good points about starting a company here, but also want you to give us some of the tough things or challenges for our listeners so they can keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, certainly the good things is the just the brain flow out here. There's an awful lot of there's a lot of creative people. There's a lot of entrepreneurs I find in this area. It seems, especially in the natural sector, I've noticed with the food businesses I've been at, there's a way of thinking out here that is very progressive. As far as some of the challenges out here, certainly be shipping and freight, especially if you're anybody who's producing a product of any sort, will tell you that it's, all the people aren't necessarily around here. They're all back east or down south, and so it costs a fair amount of money to get product to them.
Okay. Now, we do some of our best work outside the office. Is there a place in the Lower Mainland close to where you live or work where you like to go recharge or get inspired or just think about your business? And does it change with the season considering all the rain we get here?
Yes, it certainly does. Coquitlam River is right by my house, and so there's endless trails down there that I love to go down and go for runs, go bike rides with my kids, even kayak down that river when the spring rushes on with the water. But you know what? It really doesn't change whether it's raining or not. It's you get used to the rain out here, and when I got a pair of earbuds on and my my raincoat on, it doesn't matter if it's sunny or not.
Right, good. Okay, now we have a lot of international listeners, so this next question I want you to speak to them. If you were to start all over again and you just moved here to Vancouver, BC, but this time you don't know anyone, knowing what you know now, what would you do and how would you go about starting all over again as an entrepreneur?
Well, if it was a food business, I would approach it in a different way. I would once I found the product and an idea I'd liked, I would build a business plan around a co-packer that would deal with all the production side of things and pretty much making me a marketer of that product. If it was a service, I think I would see what New York, what Los Angeles, what kind of services and businesses that are working well there that Vancouver doesn't have, and maybe explore that.
Okay. Now, what does the first hour look like for you when you get up in the morning? Do you have a specific routine or a ritual that helps you get motivated to start your day?
Yeah, that's probably the most important hour, my hour and a half this morning of my day. When I get up, I have in my living room a water feature that I've built up with ferns and soft lighting. I put on soft music. I have my coffee. And you know what? I start off just by being thankful. I go down the list every morning of all the things I have to be thankful for. From my relationships, from where I live, the things I'm allowed to do, my health. I start with that. I meditate. I pray. I go through the different areas of my life that I need answers on. I'm looking for answers. Sometimes that might be 40 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour and a half, like it was today, But when I don't start a day that way, I feel it. I know. I just feel a little off. Something's missing.
Do you think entrepreneurs have to be weird or unique in a positive way, or wired differently?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I think you have to be a little bit different because the tons of hours that you put in without pay or without knowing that it's even going to work out at all in the end. I think you need an exceptional amount of faith and confidence to really bring an idea all the way through to fruition, I guess.
Okay. Now, what books are you reading now and why, or even audiobooks? And can you recommend any books for our listeners who are also aspiring entrepreneurs?
As far as the book I'm reading right now, it's Onward by Howard Schultz. It's the founder of Starbucks. Why I'm reading it is because my friend gave it to me, but I'm finding it's a really interesting book. One of the things I liked from that book is how he would sometimes shut a meeting down early and let everybody go home as long as they called somebody and connected with somebody they haven't talked to in years. I thought that was kind of a neat thing to inspire people to do.
Interesting. So he would say, okay, call someone you haven't spoken to for several years, and you can go after you do that.
Exactly. Sometimes it's a great excuse to do that. That's all too often, friends and people fall away just because you haven't seen them and it gets weird to call them. So that gives you a good excuse to break that habit.
Good. What online or offline tools do you use on a daily basis?
Online would be Notebook. I just that's how I organize everything, just on a Notebook. That'd be offline, I guess. Online would be a relaxing app I've got called Calm, where once in a while you just sit down and it's got different features on it, but the one I like the best is the breathing. It's forcing you to breathe in for a specific amount of time, hold it for a specific amount of time, and breathe out. So.
Okay. Now, we have a lot of listeners that obviously listen for learning from entrepreneurs and so forth, but entrepreneurs need to take breaks. We know that. So Vancouver's got a lot to offer. We got the mountains here, we got the oceans, lakes, everything. You, just like you said, the trails outside your place. How do you balance work and how do you relax and not think about work? And what are your favorite activities to do here in BC? Do you ski, bike, kayak, golf, hike, or simply go for a drive?
Yeah, it was certainly pretty active. One of the things that we've been doing a lot lately is, I got teenagers, 12 and 15-year-olds, and so we play a lot of tennis. We've actually weekend warriors when it comes out to paintball. That's something we've been getting into a lot. Certainly skiing. I mean, there's nothing more relaxing than skiing. Even just going up you can go up the ski lift on a nice snowy night is just one of the most peaceful things.
Okay, if you weren't doing what you do now, what would you like to do for a profession?
Oh, easy. I'd be the drummer on Saturday Night Live. That is the best gig.
What's his name? Vinny Coletta?
Ah, yes.
Is that his name?
I know it's a Vinny something.
It's Vinny Coletta. Yeah, I think that is him.
Now, how do you know that?
I'm a drummer myself, so I know.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go. What kind of a job would you not like to do?
I would not want to be in a call center, and even in a retail outlet in a mall or something like that. I'd have a hard time standing in one spot.
In business, what is your favorite word, quote, or sentence that you like to use?
It is what it is, and that's because there's a lot of problems that come up during the day in any business, and you can sit around and decide whose fault it was or why it should have or shouldn't have happened, or you can say it is what it is and let's move on here. What are we going to do about it? So that tends to be my attitude, and that's why I tend to use that a lot when things happen.
What is your least favorite word or sentence you do not like to hear?
It can happen, or you can't do that. I know it sounds cliche, but it's so true, and it just ribs me, especially when it's somebody who has limited information that's telling me that. So I always like to prove them wrong.
If you had to pick one or two words to describe yourself, what would it be and why?
Creative, positive, and funny.
Okay, that's pretty well self-explanatory, isn't it? Okay. What keeps you up at night, if anything?
Certainly creative ideas. When I think of something, whether it's for work or business, new business idea, it's one of those things that really just takes over, and you find yourself thinking about it continuously.
Okay. I want you to give us the top 3 things on your inspired life list. This could be a bucket list of any sort, whether you want to do a TEDx talk, write books, travel more, philanthropy, anything like that?
Yeah. Well, certainly extended scuba trip in Fiji. The other one would be record a great album with some good musicians. Lastly, I guess, would be get a farm. Get a farm with horses and dogs, a place you can unwind.
Okay. Do you have any advice that you may have received that you can pass on to entrepreneurs throughout BC?
Yes, it's one of the best things that helped me and saved me thousands of dollars and probably thousands of hours at times is I made a habit of reaching out to people. I was a counselor. I didn't know anything about business or food industry. And so I called everybody who had a food business in Vancouver and asked them if I could take them out for lunch, if I could have a coffee with them. You know, most told me to hit the road, but the other half said, yeah, sure, come on down. And I'm still friends with them today. You know, so really get out and ask people, find mentors. Just realize that there's people that have the answers out there, and you want to find them.
Yeah, I think the message here is don't be afraid to make that call. You just never know where it may lead.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was able actually to bring in with the snack food company. I was able to bring in a huge investor just by making that call. They really came in and really taught me actually how to run a business. They coming from a $150 million company, so it was a huge advantage to me at that time.
Okay, Phil, you ready to have some fun?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, as you know, entrepreneurs are very connected people. We're very busy, lots on the go. But we're going to take you away from all that. There's a small tropical island just off of Fiji that only has one phone booth there. There is no internet. This place does exist. We're going to drop you off there. You won't have a computer or a smartphone or a tablet. You can use the phone booth located there anytime to call the boat. We'll come pick you up. How long would you last before you made that call? What would you do while you were there?
Well, it's gotta. I think I'd take advantage of it. I really think I would take advantage of that time and make use of it, whether it's just something as simple as perfecting my role or something bigger, learning how to play guitar, learn a language or something like that. If I've got a beautiful scenery like that, and I'm assuming there's going to be food and stuff there, and hey, warm water is what I love to be around. So I would give myself 3 or 4 months before I had to get on that phone.
Great. Wow. 3 or 4 months. That's good. You'll get a lot done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
How can our listeners get hold of you? And is there anything you'd like to add before you leave us today?
Yeah, absolutely. Just Ross Chocolates is over in Port Coquitlam. I'm sales manager at rosschocolates.ca. If people are trying to reduce sugar or they're diabetics and looking for a great treat, we're at Shoppers, we're at Superstore, we're at Walmart, so PharmaSaves, Rexall. So we're around town. That's for sure. And we've got a great product. But yeah, I'm always willing to connect with people, especially entrepreneurs who who have questions.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I've learned a lot about you, and I'm sure our listeners have as well.
Hey, thanks so much, Rob.
Great. Okay. We'll see you next time.